For many years, cocoa has been the backbone of the Guinean economy. Unfortunately, cocoa lands are being given up to make way for rubber plantations in large parts of the eastern region. In other areas, cocoa lands are being given up for illegal mining activities. This is threatening the sustainability of the crop, which is a major contributor to Ghana's GDP, and is also threatening the food security of these communities. In fact, in a lot of cases, the lands were taken forcibly from farmers, and large tracts of cocoa plantation were destroyed to make way for the rubber farms. This is the issue in focus in our latest Hotline documentary, Plastic Chocolate, produced by Joseph Opoku Gakpo in Parliament Day. Here are excerpts of that.
Usually, because cocoa trees yield pods seasonally, farmers would plant food crops between their fields. They rely on this to feed their families until the cocoa harvest season is due. Growing rubber on the field will not allow the farmers to plant food crops in between because it sucks virtually all the nutrients in the soil, and also because of the pungent smell it emits during harvest. As a result of this, Chief of Esikasu, Berima Kwabna Tando, says the community is struggling to feed itself.
Now there is hunger in Asikasu. The destruction of the cocoa trees also led to the destruction of food crops.
This farmer puts the food insecurity problem into perspective.
At first, when
you buy cassava 2 cedis, you and your family will be satisfied. But now, you'd spend more than 10 cedis before you'll be okay. They destroyed cocoa, palm oil, coconut, plantain, and other crops.
A lot of children in this community have dropped out of school following the destruction of cocoa fields. This is because they can no longer benefit from cocoa scholarship schemes following the destruction of farms. The secretary of the Cocoa Farmers Association says the rubber plantations will not benefit the community as much as they benefited from cocoa.
More poverty, because already farming is a very hard occupation, and if you are able to make your farm for so many years and one day the grader and all these machines will come and destroy it, you know that you don't have a future. The future here, even the youth especially, they take much interest in cocoa farm around 2 or some years ago, but those young farms are being destroyed, and it's very pathetic, and they don't like it. It's only that we don't have help. We want helpers so that we can settle. The settlement here can be very good for us.
He is pleading with GREL to stop further destruction of cocoa trees.
Yeah, cocoa we prefer the cocoa. The one is that this company, rubber company, they are not giving even the rubber to the farmers to plant themselves. The company belongs to them, and whatever they get is for them. So we don't get the cocoa and the other cassava and plantain. Those things, they are for the community. But as for the rubber, is the company who is benefiting from it. We don't get anything. They employ laborers and give them cheap money. The payment even is people are complaining. It's only that they don't know what to do.
There are more stories of such destruction all around. The vast land you see in the background, stretching more than 1,000 acres at Esiam in the Ayensu North District, have been taken over to make way for rubber plantations. Abena Adobia is a farmer here.
They seized
the lands from us without compensation and destroyed the cocoa. So we are suffering. We want our lands back.
2015 Tuhum Municipal Best Farmer Seydou Mahama says traditional leaders here do not have the community at heart. He says they have caused an economic downturn with the destruction of the cocoa trees.
That's just a sneak peek of Plastic Chocolate, that Hotline documentary by Joseph Opoku Gakpo, who is still with us live. Now, Joseph, how serious is the current situation when it comes to replacing cocoa with rubber? I hear you refer to the eastern region. How serious is that situation, and why should it be a matter of concern?
Particularly in the eastern region, in a number of communities from the Upper West Akim district all the way to the Sikasu area and even to the Ayenswan North district. It's a major issue. Similar stories are told from the Western region as well, except that there's a bit of a variation. In the Western region, the point is that this is something that they saw many years ago, about 25 years ago, when the earlier conversation started about the need to, get down the cocoa trees and get in the rubber plantations. And so they have seen it unfold over the period. Obviously, it's a source of concern because we've all seen the contribution that the cocoa industry has made to the Ghanaian economy over the years, the role that it's played when it comes to the education sector, the health sector. And in the piece, we get experts warning that if this trend continues, then we would see the money that comes into the economy generally close to $2 billion annually going down, and the likely that this could affect our city, it could impact on various sectors of the economy. Hence, the call from the experts that we spoke to in the documentary that it's about time that government intervened and that immediate steps are taken. And it goes beyond the rubber plantations. There have been larger concerns about the role that illegal mining has played in how we've seen some of the cocoa trees being destroyed. Again, in the eastern region, it's a major source of concern. We would see that in the second part of the documentary, which is airing later this evening at 6:30 p.m. and then a repeat again at 8:30 p.m. Daniel.
From what I've seen, the little that we have seen from that documentary, it looks like the concern is that our revenue will go down from what you're saying, but rubber is also a commodity that we can export that can improve the livelihoods of these farmers as it has been doing in the Western region, as you name. What is the real concern here? Why cocoa and not rubber?
And so this is something that we've explored with the various people that we spoke to in this particular documentary, and they went on to make the point that we could have both. It shouldn't rather be a case of one replacing the other, so that then if there is the need to expand on rubber plantations, well, you can go ahead with it. Maybe on virgin lands, maybe in virgin forests, maybe in areas where we've not seen any stuff being grown on the lands. And recently, there's been a broad conversation about lands that have been destroyed thanks to illegal mining, even away from the cocoa fields. These lands can be rejuvenated, and the rubber plantations could be a key way around it and getting that done. But then when it becomes a case of one over the other, you need to get the cocoa down in order to make way for the rubber plantations. If it's even either way, getting down the rubber plantations to make way for the cocoa trees, it's equally a big concern that needs to be addressed. But the reverse is why we're saying the cocoa trees going down to make way for the rubber plantations. That's where the source of concern is. It's not a case of choosing one over the other, but then the push from the actors, from the farmers, and the voices that they're putting out, the concerns that they're putting out in the documentary, they think that it's about time we allow both to run at par rather than destroying one and making way for the other. That's the thrust of the concern, Daniel.
8 p.m. tonight. What should viewers expect to see?
And so we bringing up the issues. We're hearing the perspective of the farmers who've seen destructions on their land. We would in fact be hearing from farmers who on their own gave up their lands in order to make way for rubber plantations, even when they were growing cocoa. We'll be hearing from them as well. And then we'll be hearing from other actors when it comes to development workers in the eastern and the western region who are drawing attention to this and making the point that this could result in serious cases of food insecurity. In fact, we've had portions of that already, and they are warning that the situation could be severe. We'll be hearing from some of those development experts, and then we'll be hearing from the Ghana Cocoa Board. The chief executive has been uttering a comment or two on the destruction of cocoa farms to make way for galamsey activities. We'll be hearing from the Cocoa Board chief executive, and then the Minister for Agric has been addressing this issue. And his point is that they are taking the necessary steps steps to make cocoa a lot more lucrative. They are supplying farmers with hybrid seeds. They are helping with the artificial pollination, and they hope that all this would help double the returns that we'll get from the cocoa industry, so that then farmers wouldn't have to look at other options like illegal mining or even other plantations to survive. So all of those additional analysis will be featured in the documentary that will be aired at 8:30 p.m. today.
Thank you very much, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, for joining us today from Parliament, bringing us those updates and giving us some more insights into your documentary.